Sports Tonight, proudly brought to you by Budget Wheel and Deal Month and new Rexona Essentials for Men.
Sports Tonight, May 22 in the AFL. Hawthorn humiliates the Adelaide Crows on their home turf. The Queenslanders arrive in Sydney, determined to end talk of a home turf hoodoo against them in Origin football. Commonwealth Games athlete Pat Carroll runs the best official half marathon in Australia. And the Houston Rockets and Utah Jazz will go head-to-head in the West after winning their playoff series. Good evening, welcome to Sports Tonight. I'm Bill Woods, and it's not a great day for the Irish, but they are rejoicing in Dundee, Scotland. The Otways have again sorted a few out and so have the Fairways. In football, they're celebrating at Seagulls on the Gold Coast and in the Hawthorn Social Club as well. The Hawks flew interstate and they thrashed the Crows.
Adelaide began the game favourites, but were always going to have to contain one man. Dunstall was simply magnificent in the first term, both leading and using his strength in the square. The result was 5 goals. Gowers was another causing damage. The Crows were shell-shocked and couldn't do anything right. While the Hawks booted 8-1, the Crows didn't even score, to give Graham Corns a huge headache. McGuinness helped them at least get on the board in the second term.
Back to McGuinness, who gets away from Patton this time.
But the damage appeared to have been done. The visitors too classy. And Dunstall wasn't kicking them himself, he was helping others. The Hawks up by 48 at the half. And there was no letting up in the third term. The likes of Allen and Platten were just magnificent.
Quick kick from Platten, it bounces on and goes through for a goal.
The Crows' endeavours again produced only benefits for Hawthorn, the home side failing to score yet again. They trailed 19-8 to 3-3 at the final change, and the demolition job didn't stop in the final term, testing the most faithful of locals. Modra's only goal for the game kept the margin under 100 points. The Hawks naturally jubilant. The final scoreline one of the Crows' worst ever, 22-13, 145 to 7-6, 48. The match at Waverley between Fitzroy and St Kilda was a much closer affair.
St Kilda, with Stuart Lowe a late withdrawal, did a fine job into the breeze in the first term, kicking 3 goals and a few opposition players as well. Fitzroy managed 4. McCarthy sank a 75-metre bomb on the run. That was followed by a Jimmy Wynn solo effort from the flank after the ball was clearly out, but not called by the boundary umpire.
Away, Jimmy. 3 bounces, check side, goal.
Goals to Wilden from the pocket, and Wynn's second on the run gave the Lions a handy 23-point lead. The Saints looked in trouble, but Craig O'Brien snapped his third for the half, and Strooper found the brilliant Robert Harvey, who poked it through. Fode's soccer goal gave the Saints a surprise 3-point lead at the main break. The third quarter and highlights were hard to find. The only 2 goals came from St Kilda boots. Even the great Paul Roos was struggling to exert any influence on proceedings. And the umpires too were out of form. Wind paid this mark after the ball hitting the deck. With a quarter to play, Fitzroy trailed by 14 points. A piece of Maradona magic by McCarthy narrowed the gap. Winmar then strolled in to kick the day's easiest goal before Johnson snared his second for the afternoon. But it wasn't enough for the Lions. St Kilda notching their 3rd win of the season in a scrappy affair, 11-9-75 to 8-14-62. The final margin, 13 points.
Well, a teenager making his Winfield Cup debut helped the Gold Coast beat Newcastle today at Tweed Heads. The Knights led for most of the second half, but an Alan Kempnich goal from a conversion near touch gave the Seagulls a 12-10 win.
The Newcastle Knights are the only side in the Winfield Cup that the Seagulls have the better of in head-to-head meetings. And the home side started brilliantly today with a try to Bouvang.
Adrian Bowles, the winger's in to score. David Bouvang.
10 minutes later, the Johns brothers hit back.
Andrew Johns supports, his brother Matthew is there. Kempnich is beaten, he'll go in and score. Matthew Johns.
Newcastle fullback Robbie O'Davis set up the Knights' second try by Russell Wire.
To the left now for O'Davis, he holds the ball up, gets it to Russell Wire, and Wire scores the try.
There were some big hits in the match. This one by David Smith on Seagull Wayne Bartram.
Big hit by David Smith.
And this from Wallens on Ainscough.
Oh, crashing tackle.
20 minutes into the second half, David Smith appeared to have scored the Knights' third try.
Then it's off the boot of David Smith, and that should be. No, he's ruled it went forward, the pass.
The Seagulls could have tied the score, but were desperately unlucky in this close decision.
McCormick's the only Knight there. No try the way I saw it.
But the Coast came back, with Coleman, Bouvang and Bartram combining for a spectacular try.
But now Bartram's away. He'll score. Here's the equaliser.
And teenage fullback Alan Kempnich, in his first game, kicked the winning points for the Seagulls to win 12-10.
On its way, it's left the boot perfectly. It's a beauty.
Bit of local knowledge with that wind looked to pay off too. Well, the Queensland Origin team hit Sydney today confident of ending a 5-game losing streak in the Harbour City. It's been 4 long years since the Maroons have toppled the Blues away from home.
It was hardly a rousing reception for the Queenslanders. One lone Maroon supporter was on hand to greet the Origin team. Despite being in enemy territory, the players appeared relaxed, with coach Wally Lewis even finding time to pose for some snapshots. New South Wales went behind closed doors today for 2 private sessions. In sharp contrast, the Queenslanders have nothing to hide, training impressively in an open session. On hand to lend support, former triple world boxing champion Jeff Fennick, who believes the Maroons will break their 4-year drought in Sydney.
We always doubt the Queensland forwards, but they always come up with the goods. If they can come up with the goods, I think, you know, Mal Meninga in his last year will have a super game and lead Queensland to victory.
After missing 2 sessions yesterday with a virus, Michael Hancock impressed this afternoon and will be there come game time.
I feel great today, yeah. All I need is a good rest tonight. I think I'll be 100% tomorrow.
Now in his 4th Origin year, Hancock rates Queensland's preparation one of the best.
We've put in the effort from day one through training and also like all the skills we've done, so there wasn't much drop ball, so I think we're really looking forward to tomorrow.
Coach Lewis is also happy with the team's progress and dismisses Queensland's poor record in Sydney as a factor.
Oh, Hoodoos don't worry me too much at all, TK. You know, they're best saved, I suppose, for the movies at 2 o'clock in the morning.
The Blues made their final public appearance at the Greyhounds last night, and they're hoping the local favourites will storm home tomorrow night.
Well, the New South Wales Rugby Union team has continued its impressive record against international touring sides. The Waratahs this afternoon thrashed Ireland 55-18.
It was the final chance for the Waratahs to push their test claims. Halfback Sam Payne quickly launched his bid, collecting his own kick for the first of his 2 tries.
Ireland in trouble. Yes!
With some of the team playing their first match in 6 weeks, Ireland struggled to keep pace, outpowered in the forwards and outclassed in the backs.
Campese. Second try to New South Wales.
The Waratahs scored 4 first-half tries to lead 27-6 at the break.
Toms. Yes!
Richard Toms further boosted his test hopes, opening the second half scoring.
Toms, his second.
Trailing 34-6, Ireland finally discovered the line through veteran forward Neil Francis.
Get it down!
It proved only a brief interruption to the Waratahs' march. Michael Bryle the next to cross.
Try, Michael Bryle.
Then hard-working Warwick War enjoyed some freedom away from the forwards.
Warwick War, what a lovely pass.
David Campese completed the spree, pulling in a Tom's special to score New South Wales' 8th try of the afternoon.
Look at Campese. The pass was there, he plucked it metres above his head.
Visitors strolled over for a late try, the final score 55-18.
And that is a wonderful Irish try.
Ireland's next match is against the ACT in 3 days.
When we return, Pat Carroll's great race, the Otway Classic and Formula One powerboats. In a world-class performance, Commonwealth Games representative Pat Carroll has broken an Australian running record. The 33-year-old Queenslander was first home in this morning's Sydney Morning Herald half marathon.
Perfect conditions for the 3rd running of the Sydney Morning Herald half marathon. 2 10.5-kilometre laps took 4,000 runners through some of Sydney's most historic spots.
Yes, the runners are coming too.
But two saw them sooner than the rest. Last year's winner, the boy from Ballarat, Steve Monaghetti, and late race entrant Pat Carroll. Training partners for the August Commonwealth Games, today's race a vital part of the preparation. They set a blistering pace, leaving the rest in their wake. But on the second lap, Carroll found something extra and made his break. From there, he powered home for the win and a new race record. 1 hour, 1 minute, 11 seconds, Australia's fastest ever half-marathon time.
Yeah, I'm wrapped. It's probably one of the best runs I've ever done.
Popular Monaghetti finished second, 1 minute 40 behind Carroll, but still more than a minute faster than the record he set last year. In the women's event, another crowd favourite, Tani Ruckle, dropped out of contention, and a 34-year-old mother of 4 stormed into the limelight. Heather Turland from rural Barrel, south of Sydney, started running seriously just last October. She didn't even own a pair of lightweight running shoes until 2 weeks ago, and she's only previously run 1 half-marathon, but first home in her second, and in a race record time of 73 minutes 38. 22 seconds ahead of Commonwealth Games representative Kerry McCann.
The 7-member Smith family HFC team has come from behind to take out the Otway Classic. They turned a 12-second deficit this morning into a 3-minute 11-second win.
This race isn't for the faint-hearted. The morning time trial up Mariners Lookout, the toughest of the 3 trials over this 219k race. Australia Post's Malcolm Norwood, as predicted, first to the summit, as others battle fatigue and often soreness, trying to gain team bonus points. The run home somewhat a surprise. Norwood, with his 5th individual title safe, Queenslander Michael Inwood had other ideas.
I'm going to get one up on him. Make him hurt. Make him hurt. Make him hurt. Keep it going.
Inwood first, his Regal Ice Cream team also winning the stage bonus. 20 seconds separating the top 3 teams now. The morning stage would be vital. Mazda a 12-second gap to the Smith family HFC, Australia Post 3rd. First change and Smith family's captain Russell emerged with a sensational run. Conditions bitter, not ideal for Nali, the African, to express another facet of this race. But he did maintain his team lead. Norwood's team now last down 1 minute 30, but this is his race and gradually wore down all but one team. After 3 days and just 21.7 Ks to go, for every runner the finish at Lawn in sight. Smith family have a mortgage on this race now, barring accidents. Pride for many of them now just for 2nd and 3rd. Apples and Pears captain Tony McCartney fought fatigue as his hamstring seized, all hope of a placing gone. Australia Post Mr. Nori Daigo had the Smith family's Francis Nali in sight. Nali showing signs of surrender, the Japanese battling the pain barrier. Onto the lawn circuit, track champion Frank Shevlin kept overtaking his opposition, finally winning the last stage. But the glory was the Smith family team. The Otways had been conquered yet again.
Well, championship leader Graham Ogilvie has stretched his lead in the Australian Formula 1 Powerboat Series after winning the Sydney Grand Prix today. Hitting speeds of 200 kilometres an hour, the powerboat sliced apart the Serenity of Cogra Bay for round 5. The event was held over a 40-lap, 1,700-metre circuit, Ogilvie facing a challenge from local driver Mark Evans. Despite the terrifying speeds, there were no untoward spills. Ogilvie guided his Lismore-sponsored boat to a popular win, receiving the admiration of a tiny well-wisher on the dock. Spectacular action also for the speed freaks at Sydney's Eastern Creek. Round 5 of the Winfield Top Fuel Series was being held. The hottest man in drag racing, Sydney's Graham Cowan, again proving the one to beat. Cowan dominated the session, hitting a top speed of 460 kilometres an hour to beat Darren DiFilippo in the final. After the break, Dundee at last, Majors Baseball and the NBA. The Socceroos have drawn their opening game in the Kirin Cup with Japan. Asano scored for the home side, then Aurelio Vidmar hit the equaliser for Australia. And Dundee United has at last won the Scottish Cup.
This was Dundee's first win in the Scottish final after 6 previous attempts. Dundee controlled the game for most of the first half, but had a scare in the first 10 minutes when McKinley was forced to head off the line. The action was non-stop, and Dundee United were unlucky midway in the first half when this great run by defender Alex Cleland cut open the Rangers' defence, and all appeals for a penalty were turned down by the referee after Ferguson looked as if he had fouled him in the area. The deadlock was broken in the 47th minute with some careless defence by Rangers. Goalkeeper Ian Maxwell kicking the ball against the in-rushing Daly, and his shot hit the upright, but Craig Brewster was on hand to score the only goal. McCall nearly equalised for Rangers with this great run. Van de Kamp